Good evening, Coach. Welcome to the TTP show. This is Coach Zipho Dlangalala. Of course, he's worked for numerous clubs, has done an incredible contribution to South African football with regards to coaching, scouting, and obviously from a technical director perspective, from a manager perspective, has helped numerous clubs to develop some incredible football players for this country. The last job that he worked at was Maritzburg United, of course, which is Durban City. Was a caretaker manager under Royal Eagles, was a manager at Pretoria University, obviously, was an assistant coach at Chippa United. But, Coach, welcome to the TTP show for the first time in a very long time. Hey, man, man. Hey, with the real technocrat. Nyazizwa, Coach, ngihlale technocrat. I lang with the technocrat lang impela. Welcome to the TTP show, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Lindo, and sorry to everyone for the delays and all the hitches, but I hope you hear me well and clear now.
Loud and clear, Coach. Please, Coach, greet my people. These are a group and a community of technocrats, obviously technical people and tactical people that love the game, that want to see South African football. The slogan of the show says, the show is responsible for not only focusing on 16 teams, but to focus on 32 teams, because the PSL is not responsible for 16, but 32. And it's our responsibility to contribute to South African development football for the benefit of our junior national teams, for the benefit of Bafana Bafana. But Coach, maybe before I speak football with you, can you tell people who's Zipho Dlangalala? Because for me, what I've seen and what I've heard from people is you're an incredible man. The 2 days that I've had a conversation with you, I even just wrote now that you are probably one of the best contacts I have on my phone, actually, Coach. In terms of from a footballing perspective, I think you're one of the greatest minds. But Ubanu Coach Zipho Dlangalala, for those who don't know.
Thanks for that, and it's quite elaborate what you just said, but thank you very much all the same. No, my full name is Zipho Dlangalala. In South Africa, as you know, we cut everything short, so it's normal that people will say Zipho. And mostly even guys who are Zipho or Nhlanhla, that is not full name, but that's it. So the person who's talking now is the person you're asking. I don't know if there's anything more I should say. Can discuss, and maybe as we get along, things will come through, but I don't have something to say further.
Yeah, Coach, maybe the first question is, because there's a lot of young coaches on this platform, what does it take to get into the highest level of South African football?
It should be a straightforward question. I should be able to answer it in a proper way, straightforward, but it's complicated at the same time. I wouldn't know now, honestly speaking, what it takes. I've seen a variety of things and people that just finished playing. I've seen people with a lot of experience who are also coaching there. I've seen people that have been coaching there, left and came back. So in all honesty, I do not know what it takes, but it will seem to me that if you want to, you can get there.
Yeah. Coach, and from a coaching perspective, maybe let's start there. What do you think of the state of South African coaching? Maybe from a licensing perspective, do you think that those licenses do enhance the coaches?
I would think the best people to answer that question are the people who have licenses, who have done all the CAF licenses, I think up to CAF A, maybe 1 or 2 have CAF Pro at this point in South Africa at least. So they will be able to answer that. But what I can say is going into class, someone once said that your knowledge is more important than your degree. So going into class is very important. It's very critical that we get the knowledge, we get qualified. And it is the right way to do it. I must say and add that qualifications do not qualify you to do the job well. They are there to open your mind so that you can understand better how to do the job well. But it do not do the job for you, no, not at all. So you may have people that are not qualified doing a great job, and you may have people that are qualified not doing so well. So if it's combined, you have qualifications and you have a good understanding, insight into what you are supposed to do. That is the best combination. I think that's when you get the effect.
Coach, what is maximal training? What was introduced by Ted Dimitri? Maybe you can try and explain it a little bit further to people that want to understand what is maximal training, and probably maybe I can link that with the question that says, what is the style of football that maybe the coach believes in? Or I don't know if that's the right question, but what is maximal football and how do you incorporate that with your methodologies, your game models, and your style of play?
I would say in a way that is interpreted by myself from inception. The maximal training is helping, assisting the players to achieve their best potential. So it is different from everything else in that it does not make the player be somebody else other than who they are. So if your job, if your trade was keeping stock, maybe you are a farmer with sheep, and your job is to you shear them and you sell that material for wool and everything, and you take that job of yours, which is farming sheep, to the highest level, world-class level. Or if you are it's a car wash business, and you take it to the world-class level. Maximal training is about that. You work with the players the way they are. You enhance their nature so that naturally, whatever skills they have, they can be able to use them to the highest level possible. As I will always say, and I will say now, that for me, like the World Cup, whether it's men or women, the World Cup is a competition of football, but actually it's a battle of cultures. So each culture that comes to the World Cup wants to show and wants to outsmart the other culture. If you go there and you are already a second-class culture to someone else, you're already out, even before we start.
Coach, so maybe that moves to a question of saying we produce, maybe let me give it context. We produce different kinds of profiles. People say we are similar to Brazilians. I say we are almost like Spanish and Brazilians, but we produce different profiles in this country. We can produce a midfielder, Okurashayo. We can produce a technician. We can produce a general. We can produce a winger that is a dribbling wizard, one that can cross from deep, one that can run behind. But what is the culture of a South African number 10, number 8? Because in my belief, coach, I believe football in general, when you look at football and the concept of football, those are the closest players from being complete. The number 8 needs to be able to defend like a 6 and have the capabilities to attack like a number 10. And the number 10 that has abilities to unlock the defense or the opponent and find spaces to make the team tick and play. But what is the South African number 10, number 8?
You killed me with your question because I'm not very well versed with the numbers you just mentioned. What I would say about South African player or South African players, naturally, we are football players. I hear sometimes someone says, no, this one is a natural right back, a natural striker, a natural this and that. I do not feel comfortable with that, because in general and naturally, which is one of the reasons, Lindo, our natural talent is far superior than a lot that you can think of. In fact, I will even go to say we are very superior to everyone. When we have our kids under 10, under 12, they can go anywhere in the world and play against anybody and outclass anyone. 9, 8 years and so on, 12, maybe 13 if they're lucky. There's something that we adults, coaches, do not do, which then makes them not stay at the top when they are 17, 18, 19, 20 and beyond.
Coach, sorry to cut you, Coach. Maybe the question is, why do we not produce world-class players? Because you are saying we do have the product, we do have the talent at those development stages, but when they reach a certain level, they fail out of the system. Why do we not get them to a world-class position or to performing at a certain level?
if it was school, I was going to say we use a foreign language to help to educate them. So we train them. We say we are coaching them, but we actually are in the process of changing them rather than taking what they have, what they are, to the highest level. So if like I said, maybe I made the example with farming or something like that. If you want in this country, there's something meal called mkhudu, and I think you know this. There's Mondays, mkhudus, and so on.
Yeah.
Those kind of meals. If we take those types of meals and we prepare them the way we do, in an environment that is acceptable to an international visitor, to an international restaurant, it becomes an international cuisine. It does not have to change its nature, its taste, and everything. So I think in football we make the mistake. We want to change this mkhudu from what it is to something else, and then when it is something else, it's no longer mkhudu. It's not what maybe we're hoping it will be. So it's just in the middle. So as a result, with the football, no, there are no world-class players, you say, that you are producing, and you are correct, and it's true. When we didn't have that much of thinking that way, our players were taken all over the place. I can say to anyone listening and watching us that as early as 1958, South Africa produced players direct from South Africa to Europe. And I mean, only the last 20 years has that subsided. So when we were ourselves, we produced the quality that other people saw, appreciated, and felt they needed. When we followed them or we started to do like them, we can't surpass them because they are the original on that concept. We are copies, and copies have never been better than the original.
Coach, what do you think of the standard of the Betway Premiership?
Well, when you say the standard it's difficult to talk about standard.
From a tactical perspective. From a tactical perspective.
Yeah, I was saying for us, it's not so easy to talk about standard unless someone can be unfair. The reason is that in this country we don't have minimums. If we talk now with you, or we brought all 32 coaches of the 32 teams we spoke about, NSL members, and we said, what are our minimums? I don't think we'll agree. So people do what they think they want to do. And there is even an acceptable statement here, which is very unfortunate. And it hurts me when it looks like it's normal. When someone says it doesn't matter how we play as long as you win. And it says, and it's common. People say that, and others agree. They say, yeah, no, it's business. People are keeping their jobs and all that. But I'm saying, if it doesn't matter how you play, then why must people go and watch you? Who must waste time and do a commentary on you? Who must go to your game and say as a journalist to write about what? Because it doesn't matter. So if people stay at home and wait for the score, they are following your instruction, or let me say your advice, that it doesn't matter how you play. So it doesn't matter if they are there or not, because you're not going to offer anything. I'm saying we've come to a level where we have no minimum, to a point that it is acceptable for me as a coach of a team, a professional team, to say that, and people just keep quiet as if there's nothing wrong. In other cultures, you will be dealt with. When I say dealt with, I'm not talking punishment or being arrested, but you might lose your job. You might not get another job. You might lose your team. Your players will think that, coach, if it doesn't matter how we play, why are we training?
Coach,
training,
you know what?
Training means preparing how to play. Now, if it doesn't matter how, what are you training for then?
Coach, this moves me to this question. Quick one. And I'm looking for an educational moment, Coach. You get into a club, because so many people, we know, I don't want to be controversial and add politics into football technocrat conversation, but we know that majority of the chairmen in the PSL don't have a long-term plan in terms of building teams and auditing squad, player profiling, personnel, having a long-term vision in terms of game models of how the club wants to play, how we want to introduce younger players, the loan system, the strategy to bring in foreign players. Why are we bringing in foreign players? The investment that we make in the players that we feel might take the club into the next level. Coach, you get into a club. What are the first things to implement as a young football coach or as a coach in general that wants to implement maximal training or that wants to apply what is probably I know I'm asking a lot, coach. I don't know if you can pick my brain. But what I'm trying to say is Kaizer Chiefs, I don't want to use them as an example, but you get into a club, you want to audit the squad, you want to profile the personnel and the profile of the players. Then you want to implement a game model based on the profile and the personnel that you have.
Yeah, it's quite a huge challenge to do that, especially here in the country, in our country, and more particularly if we are not used to this community, this society that we are. Because if you come from an environment where I said there are minimums, then you assume when you come here that there are minimums, only to be shocked when you realize that actually there aren't any. So it's a very complicated situation for somebody that is not part of us here, who may call foreigner. But even for us, it can be foreign, depend club A, B, C, or D, and so on. Because in some clubs, like you said, they will want the last things first. If you understand what I'm saying. When the game starts, the ball is put in the center mark. That is the most central part of the field. So which means all ends are far, whether it's your own goals, the opponent's goals, and so on. So, but therefore, if you want to start with a goal, you're already not thinking right, because you're not going to score from there generally, normally. Yes, maybe goalkeeper is sleeping. We know some goals have been scored. I remember surprise Moriri once, but it's not something that will happen often. So equally, if we start a preseason and we are already thinking, or let me say, we are thinking that we're going to win the league at the end of the preseason or in the game number 5, it's not the right way to think. So maybe that's why we see so much changeovers and rotation of team squads, which is restricted to windows. But then the coaching ones, because there are no windows for changing coaches, it happens anytime. So the rate is so high, I think, because of that the things that will come that can come later, we are often rushed and we want to see them now. So we pay this price. Maybe somebody may say, what do I mean? If you think about it, Lindo, and everyone who's listening, since we came into international football, 1992, maybe let's say, yes, 1992, we have only won 2 Champions Leagues, 1995 and 2016. And that should tell a lot about certain things that we are not doing right. But because maybe if we talk about the national team that we won 1 AFCON, we have one silver in 1998, we have 2 bronze, 2000 and 2024. Maybe that there are excuses and many things. But even a club where teams are always together and that if they have their own idea and identity and so on, but even there we're not doing well. We're not making a mark in the junior competitions in the continent. If we go past the continent, we get stuck in the world level. First round, we're out. So we have to accept and a bit and have some humility to realize that there are certain things that we must change, and there's quite a number of things that we can change and be better.
Coach, I genuinely want us to speak about this season and what you think of Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates. But maybe let me pick your brain with this, coach. Who are the 5 best coaches, in your opinion, currently that are coaching?
You said the 5?
The 5 best coaches that are coaching currently. They can be coaching anywhere at any level. We just want to get your brain, pick up your brain in terms of the coaches that are doing well, in your opinion, ones to look out for.
Yeah, if I was in a court of law, I will say you're giving me a death sentence, because in the 16 PSL teams, only 6 started this season, are still there in the same teams. So if you ask for 5, it means I must leave 1, because we can't talk now about someone that has left or someone is just coming. So that's what I was talking about with the minimums. One of the countries, example, is not the only one, but I'll mention it because we all know Spanish football. In Spain, as an example, a coach is allowed to coach one team in a season. So if you employed me, Lindo, and then you release me or you fire me, whatever the wording, I cannot coach any team this season. I have to wait. I can only start the following season. And there are many reasons that they have that practice. And it creates some stability. It creates a lot of control. They don't tell the club, don't fire. But the coach cannot go and coach another team the same season. The understanding is that if you could not do it at A, what will be different at C in the same season? So until we have minimums, it becomes difficult to answer certain questions. Your question is fair, but the environment does not allow me to be able to answer it.
All right, coach. Understood, coach. Guys, this is Coach Zipho Dlangalala, a South African football technocrat, a football expert, a football coach. Let's continue to tap the screen, guys. This has been an incredible interview. Coach, we are almost 36 minutes into our interview. I want us to speak about the Orlando Pirates. Maybe let's start there. This team, we've seen Jorge Rivero come into the country 3 seasons ago, wins his first trophy in the first 2 months, made so many mistakes during the course of the 3 years, tried to build a model of play which is trying to get them the results that they want. Obviously, they are very competitive now. They've built a very competitive team that has depth with quality as well. But let me get your brain. Maybe the first question should be, what are your thoughts this season with Orlando Pirates, with them competing for the league and competing for the CAF Champions League?
Yeah, firstly, is to congratulate them to have the same coach that they had for 2 full seasons. He's starting his third. I don't think there's, besides Stellenbosch, I'm not sure if anybody can make the same claim. Stellenbosch coach has even gone longer than that. But I'm saying fair, congratulating to Paris for that, and to him and the players that have been there with him, because some of them have just come. I hear there are others coming now. So, what do I think of them with the challenge in the league? They have as much chance now as they had a season ago, 2 seasons ago. What will determine, I think, is the stability. The league, because in the league you play in our country we play 30 games, then you either win it or not win it, or you're relegated, whatever the case. So it requires some stability. If the coaching at the technical level there are always changes, it's one way to lose the league. If in the playing personnel there are continuous changes, it's another way to lose the league, even if those changes are to improve the squad quality and so on. But changes are changes, and it takes a bit of time for people to stabilize, and those who are coming in, and also those who were there to understand and click well with those who are coming in. So if the squad is changed all the time, there's a chance that you may do well in other competitions, and the league may not be what you will get. So it will depend there how well they are able to keep a stable team this season. The other part that might be a curveball for them as a team, as a club, is that they have not played in 3 competitions at the same time, maybe for long. So the squad they have, the coach they have, with everything that we have said, which is good and which is commendable, it's a new challenge, because by end of this month, I think they'll be playing the league. If they make it to the knockout of the CAF Champions League, that will be competition number 2, and then there will be the Nedbank Cup. So at this point, the one team that has done this over and over is Mamelodi Sundowns. They have also made changes in the technical team. So even with them, there is a new challenge. The coach who is leading them now has not done this, although the club has done it a few times ago before.
Yeah. No, coach, we'll get into Mamelodi Sundowns. Maybe let me ask you a tactical question with Orlando Pirates. In your opinion, what do you think Jorge Rivera, from a tactical perspective, that he has done to bring himself closer to Mamelodi Sundowns? Because you can see, coach, with some people have said they've got the best attack in the league. Maybe they score a lot of goals. They look very dynamic in how they attack. They look very unpredictable. Looking at Mfukeng coming into midfield, sometimes from the left-hand side. And then you would find their midfield, sometimes in the direct line, not being sometimes very dominant. And sometimes Bashawai positional discipline. That's what you would find in tight situations, more especially Makaula, where the game would need him to receive in front of the press. Sometimes you would find him receiving behind the press. But I don't know. Maybe my question is based on from a tactical perspective. What have you seen that has made the Orlando Pirates a team that can challenge for the league?
No, it's because for the past 2 seasons, they have been trying to adapt to the same person, which is their head coach, their coaching staff. You might say that, but mainly the head coach. So whoever is there, whether they are new or been there long, the focus is clear. When you go to training on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, the whole week, the whole month, the whole season, you know who you are working with. That makes a big difference. I think that is one plus that is making them to be contenders. That is not to undermine other aspects. They have, by the way, Orlando Pirates as a team, they have very good quality of players, not just this season, not last season, not 2 seasons ago. I think for the longest time, I've always noticed that Orlando Pirates has really, really good, high quality of players. They may not have 100% top quality, but they hang around 85-90% of the time in their squad.
Coach, what do you think of Patrick Tito Maswangai?
As a player, as a person, or
as a player? As a player?
No, he's a good prospect. He's a good player, a South African player. He wants to express himself in the field of play. I always think that he would have been far more effective had he played for teams and clubs with coaches that were serious about taking his ability to the next level. I'm not sure if it can still rise. I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong, but I would have loved to see him even grow further. That same goes to every other talented individual player. You're talking Pirates now, so I won't go outside Pirates. Even the young boy Mfukeng, I just hope we South Africans, and don't put undue pressure on the young man. Allow him to enjoy the game. He is at a stage. He's just a teenager. He needs to be free to do what he wants to do. When I say this, I mean that. I'm not saying it except this discipline. No. He is not an adult. So he needs to be allowed to play and be free and be guided well so that he lives a longer life better and improves. We need players like that for the country to progress.
Coach, I've had conversations with a lot of ex-professional players, and they say O.J. Mabizela is probably the only prospect in the country that was close to being world-class. Do you think we can get Mfukeng to be world-class?
There are many. Your statement I don't agree with. I think Mbulela Mabizela was world-class defender. I don't think he was close. He was just top world-class, and not irrespective that he came from South Africa. Even today, you have to look very, very carefully and deep to find a player in the top of the world who is like Mabizela. Mbulela was different class, and he wasn't close. He was up there with everyone. How long he stayed there, what happened is another matter. But his quality was top. You're asking if we yes,
yep.
Mfukeng like many others can be there. It depends on a lot of things. Like I said, there's a number of things that have to come together, because developing a player, it's a very complicated process, but even harder to develop a player and a strong person, because playing football is one thing. That's why you have very, very many in this country, very many very good players that play in many competition tournaments and excel. but they just cannot sustain that and take it to the next level and the next level and the next level.
Coach, you know, this is a very interesting conversation with me because people have said maybe we do not have, or maybe rather, let me ask and say, because there's a video that I was watching earlier this morning that says Belgium is a country that has a small population, but they develop players, incredible football players, more especially from a tactical perspective. But we are more superior and more talented than them. But we produce more players that play in big leagues. It's because of what they work on. They understood from a very long time that they had to work on what happens off the field. Do you think maybe that's where we are not getting it right? The off the field things, because we've got some exceptionally talented players from a tactical perspective, from a technical perspective. Do you think maybe psychologically, maybe let me not to be too harsh, coach, because hey, you've been correcting a lot of statements of mine today. But coach, my question is, what does it take?
Yeah, Lindo, thanks again for asking openly, because if we're not frank, then I mean we're wasting our time. It's good that you ask open like that. No, it's not just off the field. Even on the field, we are letting ourselves down. I will say it like that. As I said, at the high level, we don't have minimums. We have confused we have confused player development with competition. And the reason, I'll give this example just so that I don't take time about this. The reason a player like, I'll make this example with one boy, but there are many. The reason the player like Yamal can come from an under 17 team of Barcelona into the first team and do well, and go to the first team, senior national team, and still do well, is because he was developed properly, not because he was competing. It is not that he was playing competitions and winning tournaments, and it is not so. He was coached, developed properly, because if you have the right tools, you will fix any problem in a car. If you have the right tools and you know what is to be done. So he has played, before he started with the first team Barcelona, he had played very, very few competitions, but he had the tools to compete. That's why he's still competing at this age.
Coach,
So
what is a well-developed player?
Yeah, we have not done that. We are not doing that. We say we demand that young players must be put in competition, but we have not prepared them to compete. Because to compete is not just the heart. You need the tools to compete. If you go to competition with the heart, you get your heartburn, and before you know, you are finished.
Coach, what is a well-developed player?
It's a player that can cope at any level with any kind of situation and still produce the performance. At the end, the results may favor them, may not favor them, but the performance is up to you. How you perform is always up to you. Even if you lose, you can still perform as a player and as a team. So that is what we're talking about. Well-developed player will always perform at the highest level and perform well. And more than that, if he's developed properly at youth stages, he will perform for the longest time. That's why players at 36, 37, 38 still make a difference in a game. The energy they have is far less than what they used to have 10 years ago. But because they were developed 20, 25 years prior, they still carry that through.
Coach, maybe let me speak Mamelodi Sundowns now, because we've spoken about Orlando Pirates. We've seen what happened at Mamelodi Sundowns. We've seen the previous coach, Coach Rulan. I don't know what your thoughts are with him. Obviously, the expectation is win the Champions League at the football club. I'm one of the big fans of the football club, Coach. I don't know if you are aware. I'm one of the huge supporters of the club. But I little bit don't agree with the model that the club has taken, because I grew up loving and supporting the club based on the fact that the club has always had a soul. It's one of the clubs that has a soul in terms of Shushan and Piano. We understand that the Orlando Pirates has always been a team that plays with very quick, fast wingers. They've always had their identity. They've never been a position-based team. Kaizer Chiefs has been a position-based team with special aids. That's why I'm very critical, coach, with my standard when Kaizer Chiefs is playing and when I'm analyzing their games, because I grew up knowing that special players, you make as number 8. and we produce those players in this country who are general that even if Abu Shoti, they don't have the height, maybe bakurash the way but from a technician perspective, from a brain perspective, how they analyze big temperament, they're able to compete in their jewels. I understand that they dominate the game. They know how to get a hold of the game. I was watching Kaizer Chiefs, coach, by the way, yesterday. And one of the things that I was watching the game with, and I said, has nothing to do with tactics. Get a hold of the game. Own the game. That's the first thing. Own the game. Be responsible. Take control of the game. And for me, that's what I watch when I watch a big club. I want to see control. Have control of the game, because when you have control of the game, it gives you better opportunities to decide what's going to happen in a football game based on the moments that the players can see and the fact that how the coach can analyze the situations and the pictures that they are seeing from a technical space. But maybe my question is based on the Mamelodi Sundowns. What do you think of the start of the season? Obviously, we've seen Coach Mancoba left the club as top of the log. Miguel Cardoso comes on to the scenes in South African football in mid-season. The club wants to win CAF Champions League. Of course, they have the ambitions to win the league again. Your thoughts on the Mamelodi Sundowns, coach?
Yeah, you've put a very strong pace. I can see the passion and the determination on your side to Sundowns, and it's well received. Yeah, no, as I said earlier, when there is no stability, there will be shortfalls. So it was a surprise, I must say, for me as a coach, but also as a South African, to see that kind of situation where they parted with Mlungisi. I don't know if anybody will achieve that, to go 29 league games without losing. They only lost the last game. But you said their standard is to the Champions League. I would be surprised if they did that this season. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But this season, I think they've been unstable. I don't think they are ready to win the Champions League. But somebody might say, last time when they won it, they were even out and they came back. It's true. So results are like that. It can happen. So in the league, domestic league, the local league, I think they will still be, they still have a majority chance to win it. Not only because they're number one, but because they've done it many times. And it's one of the teams that I always tell people that it's better if Sundowns are not on top, because somebody might just finish on top. They might slip up and so on. When they're on top, they have a tendency not to slip up, and it's almost like done. But of course, Pirates and other teams are going to chase them like they always do. So we'll see how it ends up. But you are right. Mamelodi Sundowns is known for its style, and it's what makes them referred to as Bafana style. So when it's not there or when it's not prominent, then you start to ask if it is still Mamelodi Sundowns.
Coach, maybe I know we haven't seen much of him. I don't know if you know anything of the head coach, which is Miguel Cardoso. What do you think of him in terms of style of play? Because we've seen he's somebody that emphasizes a lot of a position-based football in terms of being a maximalist as well, or you can rather call it total football, or hoge de possession, which is positional play. But you see a lot of defensive football as well, where you'd find 11 players behind the ball for the first time ever. Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm seeing Ribeiro behind the ball. I'm seeing Nkodi Matthews on the left-hand side behind the ball. And I don't know, what do you think of him and the impact that he might have in South African football? I know it's too early to judge, but I just want to pick your brain in terms of what you've seen so far.
Well, I haven't read much into his game as a coach, different from others. Of course, he's in charge now, and we'll see. I have this tendency of allowing 6 games or 6 weeks, whichever comes first. I don't give that to anyone, including myself. If I come to a team, the first six games of 6 matches or 6 weeks, it's because there's a lot that goes on in the players' minds and everyone else. So things just happen. But after that, then you'll start to see what the coach impact is. But on the basis of what you just said about coming behind the ball and so on, as I said, you see, just a small example, a discipline in Africa, in South Africa, it means the same thing as in Europe, but in practice it's different. So sometimes when we are mixed up, we are communicating across those lines. We may see things that are different happening. We may confuse things. As an example, you see, if you put things in a row, and you say, let's say there's 10 of us and there's 10 glasses that you have poured some water on and we have to drink. The tendency, if a European came there on that queue, on that line of glasses, the tendency for them is to take the first on the line or the last. But for an African is to break the line. So they will take one of between 2 and 9. It's very rare that they will take 1 or 10 in a line. So discipline, and that is not ill discipline. That is discipline to us is interpreted differently. Yeah. Just like you said with the game, yes. Some of us coaches interpret the game without the ball. I'm one of the coaches who interpret the game with the ball. If my team doesn't have the ball, it is a duty that we must get the ball because we want to play. Yes, we're not going to get it 100% of the time, 90 minutes, but when we don't have it, we have a duty to get it back so that we can express ourselves. So another coaches don't worry about that. In different cultures, they will play without the ball and so on and so on. Even here, we know some coaches who do that. We wait in the back and break and score a goal, and they win. They can even win a competition like that. So yeah. So we'll see how he copes with that. But our players, naturally, the players from Africa, our thinking, my thinking, your thinking, is there to express yourself. And when you don't have the ball, you don't have the floor to dance, you cannot dance.
Coach, there's a clip. I'll probably send you the clip. It's from Umlungisi, where it's a clip where he's talking to the players. He's actually explaining to them about the culture of South African football and what it means to play the style of football that he's playing. That even he was explaining that 5 years before, that the coaches that have won the league, they've won it through transition, through long balls, through direct play, set pieces, and so forth. And for the first time in the country, the league is won through that style of play, keeping the ball, involving goalkeepers, centre backs being involved, midfielders being able to express themselves, wingers having the license and the motivation to dance on the ball and so forth. But the primary job of the game model is, of course, to win the ball as quick as possible. That's the primary job. And then the secondary, obviously, is ball rotation in terms of an extra pass and so forth. But coach, maybe let's talk about Kaizer Chiefs a little bit. It's one of the big clubs in this country. They've made an impact in South African football for sure. It's a reason why they are one of the most supported club in the country. With regards to their philosophy of how they used to work, it has of course changed over the years. They haven't been successful for the last 10 years. Where do they start? Because for me, I said, coach, in my previous interview, and which is something that did well, and I'm a coach, which is something they agreed with me and said, I said, no matter which player they bring in now, might not work because there's no system, there's no game model, there's no strategies from an operational level to a strategic level to how they want to implement the game model. I don't see anything with regards to squad auditing. What kind of players are they looking to bring in? From a squad auditing perspective to even a player profiling and a personnel, because you can profile a certain player, but not but a certain personnel as well. But I also think coaches need to scout personality.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a big brand, the most followed one. So when they are not doing well, the country's football is not okay. Clubs can win X competition A, B, C, D, and so on. But if Chiefs is struggling, there's a huge number of people that are struggling in the country, football people. So yes, they need to. The one basic thing I would say, if someone said to me, "Hey, what must Chiefs do?" I don't know about their squad, this and that, who's signed, whose contract ends when and what. They just must restore their culture and work on that, and I think they will come right. So how long it takes, I don't know. But if they don't restore their culture, I'm not saying they must go back, because when you say that, you are saying they must go back to what they used to do 10 years ago. No, they must restore their culture, and their culture is glamour boys. Like you said, they signed personalities, the players that made great strides locally and even abroad. That's what they must do, and they must be respected again as Kaizer Chiefs.
Coach, I'm getting a couple of messages from Mama Technocrats on the group. We've got a group of technocrats. It's a WhatsApp group. It's a community of people that love football from a tactical perspective. And the first question they're asking me, Coach, is please ask the coach the 5 best players in his opinion in the Betway Premiership.
No, I'm not. I'm not in a position to answer that question because I've not seen all teams properly. So I will say 5 of what I've seen, and maybe it's not so fair. And the people do say, I see some comments as well that no, but our culture must come to the modern football. Modern football means what is happening today. There's nothing crazy. I don't know why sometimes people want to get, they just want to create. Modern is what is current, is contemporary, and it ends there. Whether you cope with it or not is another matter. So to someone to say we must take our culture to modern football, yes. So we must take the way our players express themselves. We must prepare them so that they do that at the very highest level. If Neymar can take 2-3 players inside the penalty area and still finish, and at the highest level against the best defenders in a game that is called maybe the best game, World Cup game or something. I'm just saying Neymar, it could be any player that you can think of. If that is what people must do, yes, that's what we must do. We must develop players that can stand their ground. Is faced by an opponent 1-on-1. It's a World Cup, it's 0-0, it's the 95th minute. And our defender, South African defender, is facing the top striker of another country. And if he beats him, this player will score a goal and win the World Cup. We have to develop a defender who can do that. So it's not about modern or not modern. Modern is what we have today. So I'm saying this is what we have to do. When we are not going to bring a player from elsewhere to do that, we must develop that player here.
Okay, Coach, there's another question from Vincent Pep. He's the one, actually, I did say he's the one that gave me your number to connect. He says, I should tell you, Coach, that you are the best coach in SA, according to him. But he's got a question. He says, please ask him, how must a South African playing philosophy be like? And what is needed for us to get to that level? Okay, let me repeat the question. How must South African playing philosophy be like, and what is needed for us to get to that level?
We need to be fair, honest, and be humble. We need to accept what nature has given us and develop it to the highest level. It is not the philosophy of the game. It's not something that's derived by somebody because they just like this and that and that. No, it's what naturally is available, and you take it and you develop it to a level where it can compete with anyone at any time. Just like I said, that we have water in South Africa, and maybe people don't know this. We have water in South Africa from the taps. Yes, at certain times there are issues, but we have water in South Africa that is drinkable. It is not every country. I'm talking about first world countries. It's not every country that has water drinkable from the tap. So I'm saying we have a level, we produce let's say world-class water for that matter, just to give an example. So we have the capacity to produce something that is at the highest level. We need to do that. And if we are rushing to get the results, we may not get anything. We may not get the results and not get the quality.
Coach, another question, we're about to close, guys. I'm going to take last 2 questions. Is there something called showboating? Showboating, Coach? Because we believe there's no such thing in the PSL as showboating. Is there something as showboating?
Yeah, I will be very direct here. My experience is that the people who derive narratives, they when they can't do something, they derogate it. They call it all derogatory names. If somebody doesn't like your tradition, he will undermine and look down upon your attire because they don't appreciate you, they don't like your tradition. But when they like it, they praise it, they give it names. So for me, those kind of expressions, they just mean that it's people that can't do something or they don't like it, they call it names. And when they can do it, it becomes something very special and that appreciated.
Okay, maybe let me bring in Mr. Machozi. He's requesting. I don't know if I can accept a request, coach. You don't have to. Should I accept a request, bring in another person? I'm sure he has a question for you.
It's your show.
Okay, coach. I'll accept him. He's a former Orlando Pirates. Yeah, I don't know Pra Machozi ngikubizeni, but I know that you are very close. Nabo Pra, Floyd, bengicela uvule camera Bhuti Omdala. Welcome to the TTB show, my brother.
Excellent. I'm struggling to open here. Wait. Struggling to open.
Yes, there we go.
Coach.
Now, coach Bhuti Omdala.
Coach. Njani coach?
It's all right. It's all right.
Usangibona coach?
Kahle kakhulu.
Angisakwazi coach.
I'm here.
Usifihlelani? Khona la ngakushiya khona angeza udawusekho.
I'm here.
Oh, you here, coach? No, Pralindo, I wanted to say thank you for Ugleta Hotman Pizud. It's one of the guys that I call him Pep. It's our Pep. And coach on a record elite from good university. So what you call out being eating a fire la ivalegile. So but I wanted to say Lindo, thanks for Ugleta Hotman. Msebenzile nayo somewhere. So I want to say coach is a nice guy and keep on doing it, coach. We need people like you, coach, in our football. I hope one day the team is also a biggest team. Yeah, Pep and Bell.
All right, Mr. Machozi, thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother. I'll bring you back later when coach. I think that's it from the TTB show, coach.
I need to say to Mr. Matheus, thank you very much for that compliment. I really appreciate it. All
right, coach. Coach, I just wanted to say thank you first of all. Firstly, thank you for gracing our technocrats, young people like me in the football space that obviously want to make an impact. I'm hoping for a part 2. I just feel like, coach, an hour is not enough to pick your brain, man, coach. I just feel like an hour is not enough for people like me and the hundreds of people that are listening to us. But thank you very much, coach, for gracing the TTB show today. You've been incredible. And I'm hoping to have a part 2, a part 3 later in the year. 2025 is still long. And all the best, coach, for 2025. And thank you for being with us.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Just one message I can give to all of us, including myself. Yeah. We have to change the thinking that that is dominating us. We are not copies of anybody. We are full human beings in our own right, and we have all the privilege that we can start things here and go on and develop the world the way we want. There are people who have defined the world. We can also redefine it, and there's nothing wrong about that. This thing that we must meet other people's standards, it's not wrong, but it should not be our restriction.
I hope akuzwile, coach. And this is coach Zipho Dlangalala, a football maximalist, a football tech